re-election in November or whenever it is, that clip's going to get played over and over and over and over again. And, he kind of did it to himself. He put out the little video last week trying to troll the Chiefs and, came back and hit him in the face.
Well, if you're going to, I think, write those checks, your team better be able to cash them, I think. And, I think he was having fun, obviously. I think he was playing to his base, clearly.
Sure, absolutely.
But, man, you need to find a way to win the game. And there was a lot of talking going into this game from the Cincinnati side.
Yep.
And I don't know, you kind of just had a fit, especially, with Mahomes coming in hurt, and for a team that has been as good as the Chiefs are, I think there was a little bit of disrespect going into this game, and I think they took that quite personally, and they find a way to win there at the end. I will say this: I know there's been a lot of talk about the officiating and across multiple plays, but I think, as much as you hate to make that call at the end, if you're the ref,
sure. You can't not make it. Like, it was,
he's out of bounds, right?
Yeah.
Like,
if Mahomes had 1 foot inbounds and 1 foot still up in the air, okay, now you're kind of talking about LeBron line, but he was solidly out of bounds, starting to slow up his momentum. Like, it's too obvious not to call.
You had to make the call. I hate it for 58. He's trying to make a play.
Yeah.
Like, I get how it happens. Sure. And it has been interesting to see the various, I guess, reactions to that on social media. Everything from, I feel really bad for him because he was obviously distraught. He was beside himself. Yep. Everything from, I feel awful for him, to, how can you feel awful for him? He's a millionaire. He made a dumb mistake, to, he's a moron for making that play.
Yeah.
All the way to, it was the right call. It was the wrong call. And, I found myself saying, nobody feels worse than him, obviously. It was not a good play. It was the right call. But at the same time, you are going full speed.
Yep.
You're a big man. You're chasing a guy smaller than you. That was probably the fastest burst we've seen from Mahomes all night long.
Yeah, it was really the only time he, really kind of had to scramble.
Yeah, he turned it on that play because he knew he's got to get that angle there, basically. And I just found myself saying, I understand how he did it.
Yeah.
Feel awful for him. He actually played a great game, before that. And, you could tell he felt the immense just weight of that moment almost immediately after it happened, when they kept showing him on the sideline. And, dude, here's the thing, though. If that field goal was much longer, I know the weather was so cold.
Sure.
45-yarder is nothing for most NFL kickers. That ball barely got over. I'm thinking if they're having to kick it from much farther, we're maybe having a different conversation. Although the clock was stopped. Yeah. There would have been time for the Chiefs to run some type of quick out, try and catch the pass, get out of bounds, and sort of set up the same field goal. But no question that it was a huge call in the game. It had a huge effect on it. And we'll never know what would have happened. I know there was some talk about maybe there was a miss block in the back on the punt return before that. I get it why there's a lot of talk about the officiating. At the same time, that call in itself was absolutely the right call, I think.
And I talked about this in the last hour. I'm not one of these people that genuinely subscribes to the belief that, the referees want team A to win and they're trying to screw over team B, or team B is paying them under the table, blah, blah, blah. I just genuinely think referees are not good at their job sometimes. And it's bang, bang. It's going fast. You're having to make calls in split seconds. It's not going to be perfect, but sometimes they just screw things up. And that's not to help or hurt one team. It's just they're caught in a situation they don't know what to do with, and they just make the wrong call.
Well, I think these guys that you're trying to officiate are among the elite of the elite of the elite athletically. So they move so fast, and the game at that level moves so fast that a normal human being, which is what referees are, very much struggles to keep up, right. I think, at times. And, in some cases you have, hey, you can review this. This can be fixed. In other cases, you don't. And, I think that's kind of part of the game. I don't, this whole, the NFL is rigged thing. I can already tell that's going to be just like a TikTok thing that overwhelms everything.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have people saying it who firmly 100% truly believe it.
Sure.
It's going to be annoying, like how much that's going to be talked about, because now you're also going to have people saying it ironically to everything, just making fun of it.
Yep.
And so I'm already annoyed by the NFL. The NFL is not rigged, but the referees across all sports, man. I mean, I watch a ton of Major League Baseball. The umpiring, absolutely terrible.
Yep.
On a night-to-night basis. And it's just because it's hard. It's not easy to do. And you've got people that are just phenomenal athletes that move faster than any of us most of the time even can imagine.
Right.
So I get it. It's a tough job. You go back to the Eagles and Niners. Obviously, that game got away from the 49ers because they didn't have a quarterback who could throw a forward pass by the end. But the early catch that I thought clearly looked like a catch in real time.
Yep.
Because like everybody else, I was watching his feet. And then you see the replay and you see, well, that ball touched the ground. If you're an official, it's very hard to see that.
And it's significant. We didn't get that replay for about 5 minutes. TV didn't even know that it wasn't a catch until significantly later on in that first quarter. So, and, Devontae Smith makes that catch and, he's telling the offense, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And they get that next play off. And, if the booth doesn't see anything in those few seconds before they snap that ball, they can't stop it. So clearly, if we didn't see a replay for 5 minutes, they obviously didn't see something in the 12 seconds it took to get that next snap off. So again, it's just kind of it's a hard job, and sometimes they mess things up. And that's what, again, I'm going to try to avoid Twitter as much as I can in regards to the officiating the penalties, but that is what everybody's going to be talking about for the next days, really up until the Super Bowl, probably.
Yeah, we got 2 weeks of it. And I think it does, to me, open up the conversation for more technology in the officiating side of the game. I mean, I'm a big proponent of this idea of, hey, look, are we really not at a point in the development of technology and sort of where it coincides with sports that we can't mark where a guy goes out of bounds? We can't mark whether a guy got a first down using technology. Like well,
they apparently have a chip in the football now. What that's used for, I don't know, but it's like, if that's true, why are we still relying on spotting the ball based off of the ref eyeballing it? I imagine you'd be able to tell exactly, okay, it's at the 37.5-yard line. Put the ball there. Like somebody in their ear telling them that. Well, yeah, I hope that's the next piece of technology. That would be very effective if it is.
Yeah, and you've got I'm not a soccer fan. The soccer aficionados, I guess, complain about VAR a lot or whatever, but sure seems better than and you've got going back to MLB, they track every single ball like to a freaking centimeter.
Yeah.
Because they have, and it's not even obviously with a chip, it's that they have so many cameras around that they can actually track it in 3-dimensional space, I guess is the best way to say it. And so I'm sure they can do that with football. You would think not all it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be issues, but you would certainly think that that a lot of this stuff could be cleaned up just a little bit, or cleaned up a lot with just a little movement forward as far as an ability to use the technology, or really at this point a willingness to use the technology. And I'm sure, because those were two very tight teams, like very close game, obviously.
Yep.
I get it, because if a call goes here or there differently, it could have been different. But, we'll see. I do think there is a little bit of Joe Burrow. I think people went a little bit too heavy into the Joe Burrow is Mr. Cool, Mr. Clutch. If you actually look at the numbers, he does not perform as well late in tight games as the narrative says he does. If anything, Mahomes Mahomes is the guy you don't want to go against with the game on the line.
Yeah, and their numbers yesterday, Mahomes ended up having a far better game statistically, and Burrow got sacked 5 times, which, again, they do have a couple of offensive linemen that were missing, but, he got rattled a lot, and he threw 2 interceptions. One of those was off of a tip pass, but, Mahomes definitely played better than Joe Burrow. But that being said, it still came down to the final, final seconds there.
I think, to your point, the biggest difference in the entire game was the Chiefs' pass rush against the Bengals. It was, especially early and then late, it felt like they controlled the game. The pass rush did early on, and then it felt like when they absolutely had to have stops, the pass rush took over again. And Burrow sort of in the middle meat of the game, I guess the Bengals were able to maybe do some things to try to slow down the rush, but when everybody knew they were going to have to drop back and throw the ball, that's when that pass rush took over again. And I thought that was very clearly the difference in this game. And Mahomes on the other side was able to move around just enough. There was some pass rush, but you could tell the ankle wasn't 100%.
Right.
But considering what I know about high ankle sprains, for him to have had that 8 days ago, he actually moved around phenomenally well. And then I know they had the report he was doing 4 or 5 hours of physical therapy each day leading up to it. So, hey, that more power to him. That stuff works. You could tell he had really busted his tail to get back in a position to go play at what was probably, I don't know, man. He's maybe 75% of what he normally is.
Yeah, no, he's definitely probably feeling it today. And you could definitely see he had some, he was hobbled at times, especially after coming up from getting tackled and stuff like that. But, he put his best effort out there, and it was enough to beat the Bengals. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get to some South Carolina stuff. I do want to continue with the NFL conversation. There's a question that came in on the text line that I want to get your take on in relation to what went down yesterday in the NFC Championship game. But you're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on 107.5 The Game. Before we hit the break, though, I'm going to give you a chance to win a pair of tickets to tomorrow night's men's basketball game as they take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs at Colonial Life Arena. That game tips off at 7 o'clock, and of course, you can listen to it right here on 107.5 The Game. Be caller number 5 at 803-404-6100 to win that pair of tickets. We'll be right back. 107.5 The Game.
Have you missed any of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour?
You can catch up at 1075thegame.com
or by downloading our 1075 The Game app on iTunes or Google Play.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. His Willis Reed game gets overused, so let's just call last night Patrick Mahomes' grittiest performance. In a game for the ages on a compromised ankle, Mahomes made huge throws and picked up that critical first down with his legs to set up the game-winning field goal and dragged his team to yet another Super Bowl. This is Damon Amendolara.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just 1 pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you have IRS tax problems, it can seem like a vicious cycle that never ends, year after year. Just getting the mail can be stressful and overwhelming. Don't let it ruin your life. There is a solution. Since 2008, the attorneys at Ecton Law Firm have devoted their practice to the resolution of tax problems for individuals and businesses across the Carolinas. We have the knowledge and experience and are dedicated to the success of each client. We are local attorneys with local solutions. At the free initial consultation, we'll listen to your concerns, your goals, and explain the systematic process we use in solving your tax problem. From that initial meeting, you'll see there is a solution. We're dedicated to improving your life by solving your tax problems. If we sound like someone you want to work with, take that first step. Give us a call at 803-771-9800 or go to ectonlawfirm.com. You'll be glad you did.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Tara, quote, "My doctor wanted me to do saline rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a neti pot. Navage uses suction power, so it's foolproof. There are nights when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver," unquote. She's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
With the Kroger Plus card, it's easy to get lower than low prices for the win. Earn fuel points on every purchase and save up to $1 a gallon at the pump. The Kroger Plus card. All you do is win. Big, big savings. Sign up now at Kroger.com and start saving. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply.
You can earn 10 times fuel points when you buy Simple Truth and Simple Truth organic items through January 31st. It's a great way to enjoy Simple Truth and to save at the pump, too.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances. And Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer service and low prices. Jeffers McGill and Whirlpool, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game.
Discover Herndon Certified, Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game.
As formidable defense as there is across the entire league.
Out of fake pressure coming. Purdy, Jack floating in the air. It is. Is it picked? No, hit the ground.
So that was Fox Sports' call during the NFC Championship game yesterday where Hassan Reddick hit San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, jarring the ball loose. That ended up being a fumble, and that ended up putting Brock Purdy out. He did come back later in the game after his backup, Josh Johnson, went out. And we had, Marv on the text line ask a very good question. I wanted to get your perspective on this. Why the 49ers didn't give Debo a shot at quarterback, considering he was a high school QB and even played some Wildcat when he was here at Carolina. They, of course, went to Josh Johnson. Then when he went out, they brought Purdy back in to just effectively hand the ball off, and McCaffrey had a pass thrown in there, but it seemed like their other options were McCaffrey and Juszczyk, and just didn't seem to have Debo factored in there at all.
Yeah, I imagine that, for one, they already have Debo doing so much as far as playing receiver, playing some running back, and I'm guessing they just hadn't really practiced it. And I think Debo played mostly receiver in high school, if I remember correctly. I know he had a huge senior year playing receiver, so he did throw the ball, I think, a couple times. That was in some of the packages they had at Carolina, but for the most part, I'll tell you what, Tyler, I was a little bit surprised the Niners didn't have a somewhat better sort of pull in a case of emergency plan.
Yeah.
It seemed kind of like it was one of those things where maybe, hey, that'll never happen, or, if that happens, we're done anyway.
Mhm.
But so I know you never think you're going to be sort of to what was your third quarterback for that game. But it can happen, and it clearly did in this case. And it was obvious that they didn't feel like Purdy could throw the football.
Yeah.
So clearly the Eagles know that.
Load the box.
And there was no respect for the passing game at that point. So it was essentially over. And you only have so many running plays. So even like the misdirections and the end arounds and the reverses, those were going nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I honestly was a little bit surprised they didn't throw off of some of those reverses a little bit more and just try to do some different things. But they're down 21 late in the game and are just handing the football off.
Lining up under center and handing the football off at that.
Yeah, like if you were watching that game and didn't have the context of, their quarterback can't throw, like if you just tuned in,
right,
you would think you had gone to an alternate reality and didn't understand football anymore. You're like, what are they doing? And so I don't know. Like I guess at some point if you don't have another quarterback on the roster, it is what it is. I would have thought you maybe once it was out that Purdy could not throw.
Yeah.
You probably, to the texter's point, are better off. Now, it probably would have been McCaffrey. You're better off just running the Wildcat.
Right.
I feel like, and at least having that true run threat at the position.
Yeah.
Because with Purdy, he's not, he can move around, don't get me wrong, but he's not the runner that McCaffrey is. And then obviously they know he can't throw it at that point. So that to me didn't make a lot of sense. And it almost felt, if we're in week 7 and you're in that situation, I don't want to say you give up, but it felt strangely like this is like a give up quarter. And so I'm a little bit surprised there wasn't a little bit more of a backup plan there. But I also, if you only are allowed to really have 2 quarterbacks on your roster active, then I don't know what you're supposed to do. I'm surprised that there is not an element there and I think the league will probably look at this.
Yeah.
Because the league is surprisingly reactionary about things where
they wanted that to be a good game. They wanted the maximum television ratings and it to be compelling in all 4 quarters. And for most people, they probably tuned out at halftime.
Well, yeah, it was clearly over. But the league is so reactionary. Like, why is there not a third quarterback allowed? An emergency quarterback allowed on there? Because you had to know at some point this could happen. And now you're talking about if you're including the Super Bowl, 2 of your 3 biggest games of the year. In theory, nobody wants to watch. Basically, what was your 4th string quarterback, and then what was what would have been a 5th string quarterback slot, essentially, play in one of your 3 biggest games of the year.
Well, I can tell you one thing, that all 32 NFL teams are going to be thoroughly analyzing their emergency plan when it comes to quarterback this offseason, should another team get in that position next year.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, I don't know a ton about necessarily NFL roster construction, and I guess there's not a slot on there for a third quarterback, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them add.
It's 53. Like, that's the roster that you can essentially dress for the game. And I believe if you wanted to have a third quarterback, that means you'd have to take away from another position. Which, again, quarterback 99% of the time, it's only one guy going out there anyway, and usually having one backup does the trick. But a position where you're rotating guys in, like wide receiver or defensive line or something like that, you don't want to take away any depth there. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the NFL, addresses that in the offseason, which they very well may, because again, this is something that happened in a high profile game.
Yeah. And they do seem to, even things that you can clearly see could one day happen, they only seem to address it after it actually happens.
Sure.
So I could see the league certainly making some changes there.
That'll be interesting to see what happens. Run to another timeout, come back on the other side. We'll get to some recruiting talk. As you may not know this, but Wednesday is National Signing Day. I know it's kind of lost its luster, but we do have some interesting commits to keep our eye on over these next couple of days. You're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, 107.5 The Game.
We are very social.
At 107.5 The Game on Twitter, 1075 The Game on Instagram, and 1075 The Game on Facebook.
Oh, Teddy, did you get my friend request? I'll have to check.
Your home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips here for Integrated Media. You know, one of the reasons we all live here in South Carolina is the weather, right? We love being outside as often as we can. And these days, Integrated Media is enhancing that life by installing amazing outdoor home theater systems that give you the best of both worlds. Amazing picture and sound from equipment built to be outside. From completely weatherproof Sunbright TVs to Sonos soundbars or in-ground speakers and subwoofers, Integrated Media can completely change how you and your family enjoy time on the deck, patio, or around the pool. Call 803-948-8327. Let Integrated Media come out to your house, see exactly what they can do for you when it comes to an outdoor system. And when you couple it with Integrated Media's professional-grade Wi-Fi, you won't believe the home theater experience is just as good outside. Check out some of their work on Facebook and Instagram. Then call 803-948-8327. Home theater Wi-Fi that works everywhere, home security, and much more. Do it all better with Integrated Media.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-767-6464. 800-767-6464. That's 800-767-6464.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks,
1075 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs on 1075 The Game. Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell along with you. Speaking of Firehouse Subs, it is Tuesday. That means there's a sub of the day waiting for you at your local firehouse.
Technically, some could say it's Monday.
Oh, it is Monday. Whoops. My bad.
Which means you could get, it is Meatball Monday there, Tyler. You're just wishing the day away, man. Get your Firehouse Subs lunch right now with the Rapid Rescue. That is my preferred way to order. Go to firehousesubs.com. hit the little rapid rescue button, and you can have a sub waiting for you before you can even get to the store. There are Firehouse Subs on pretty much every corner at this point in the Midlands. So wherever you are, you just type in your zip code there. It's going to show you the closest one. My preference is to go just grab it on the way home after I leave the studio here. We actually had lunch there on Friday with our buddy Josh Yeoman. I got the brisket sandwich, add bacon. That's my favorite, but I am a meatball sub fan. Josh actually had the meatball. And so Meatball Monday is the way to go. And what that means, every single day there is a sub of the day where you can get a medium for just $7.99. So if you go to firehousesubs.com right now, a medium meatball sub for just $7.99.
So on Friday, we were talking all about Wendell Gregory, however his name is supposed to be pronounced. Did we ever get a clarification on that?
I don't believe we did.
Don't believe we did. Okay, so maybe we'll find out once he's finally on campus. He is in the 2024 class, 4-star linebacker out of Walton High School in Marietta, Georgia, 6'2", 217 pounds. His announcement came late on Friday afternoon. And for the 2024 class, this means 4 4-star prospects already committed, and certainly several that are still in the conversation there. But I mean, you almost can't ask for a much better start for the 2024 class for Shane Beamer.
Yeah, we'll get into the overall start here in a second, because I mean, it may be the best start I've ever covered. But let's start with Gregory first, man. I mean, Carolina has, I would say, for as long as I've been covering this thing, getting true blue chip linebackers like 4-star guys has been a struggle for them, even though they have landed players at pretty much every other position that you would say are true blue chip guys. That position, they've landed some good players, but a lot of times it's been more along the lines of, a 3-star guy who develops or is underrated. You look at Ernest Jones, he was a 3-star guy. You look at Sky Moore, not the Sky Moore who was playing for the Chiefs yesterday, by the way. We had somebody on our board who got thrown off by that. But yeah, Sky Moore, I believe, was a late 4-star in that he sort of rose quite a bit in the rankings late in the process. But early on, for most of the process, was not this super highly recruited guy. South Carolina ended up fending off Miami, but they didn't offer it until extremely late. So they have not really had a ton of luck over the years landing major 4-star prospects at that position. And now you're talking about, you can go to a couple classes ago, Stone Blanton, getting him out of Mississippi. He's a 4-star guy at linebacker. You look at Pup Howard, who is already on campus right now as a true freshman that is in this current class, but enrolled early, even went through bowl practice. Early indications on him, are that he just looks fantastic physically. And now you add Wendell Gregory, who, is the most highly rated, highly recruited guy of all of them. On3 has him as high as the number 4 linebacker in the country, which is, that's a big sentence, man. And I look at him on film. He can do a little bit of everything. It's not very often you have these high school guys that look like they have the frame to be an SEC linebacker, yet also have this combination where they can be a pass rusher, they can be an inside-the-box linebacker, and they can actually go cover. A lot of times, maybe it's a smaller guy, and you say, oh, there's coverage ability here, but you wonder, can he hold up against the run in the SEC? Then the other end of that is, it's maybe a little bit bigger guy. He can maybe stop the run. Maybe he can get after the passer, but you wonder, can he hold up when he's having to cover backs and cover tight ends, especially, at this level where the guys are so big and fast. You look at Gregory, and the first thing that stands out is just very versatile player, already has a great frame on him, long arms, and you look at his film, he does a little bit of everything. There's pass rush, there's him picking off passes, covering tight ends like 40 yards down the field. And he may be the most physically gifted linebacker that Carolina has had in the fold. In a long time.
And a big thing for the 2024 class, obviously, Dante Reno being the first commit and being on the offensive side of the ball. He went out and helped with Cam Pringle. And then we had Michael Smith that committed not too long ago as well. Now you've got a guy on the defensive side of the ball, a highly regarded recruit on the defensive side of the ball. Now here's your opportunity where he can go out there and he can pull guys in saying, hey, come play with me, come join this class. We can do this, we can do that together. Like, that's a big piece going forward to see how this 2024 class comes together.
I don't know if I've seen Carolina have guys with as much buy-in as they're getting right now. I mean, Dante really sort of set that tone a little bit, I think. Obviously, you look at the 2023 class, going back to it, Pup had a huge part in recruiting others to join him, but Dante has been doing that, since even before he committed last summer. And, I'll tell you, the guy who now is sort of falling in line with that as well is Cam Pringle. He's just committed, but he has turned his attention, solely to recruiting other guys to join him. He's been tweeting at Josiah Thompson, tweeting at Blake Franks, who's the offensive lineman from Greenville. And it just feels like, not that there's anything wrong with being the guy who just commits and just keeps to himself and goes about his business. There's nothing that says you're required to recruit for your school once you commit.
Sure.
But it certainly helps. And I think for Carolina, you're just seeing that here in a row, you have several guys who have complete buy-in to the program and to what Beamer is doing. And I think it's going to go a long way in state, man. I mean, you look, like you said, so 4 commits so far, and they do have a 5th silent commit that is out there as well for 2024. That happened over the weekend. Shane Beamer sending out a welcome home.
I was wondering what that was about.
Yeah, so you have another 2024 prospect. So you have 5 guys that are all committed. The 4 public commits are all 4 stars. I think safe to say the 5th will be very highly recruited as well. You could even say will be a 4-star as well. So I think the start to this class is unlike anything I've ever seen for South Carolina. I mean, I'm sure your boys at Georgia, Tyler, and I'm sure Alabama and some, Ohio State has had starts like this, I'm sure. But we're just not used to seeing Carolina get the number of early blue chip guys. You look at it right now. I'm a big fan of the blue chip ratio, which gives you the percentage of blue chips in the class, which is a 4 or 5-star guy. And Carolina currently sitting at 100% on the blue chip ratio for this class. Now, certainly, there are going to be some 3 stars. Like that's how it works. They're going to fill out the class. But to have, I've been covering this a long time. It felt like for the longest time, even when Carolina would land your guys like Cam Pringle, they were in the past having to fight for everything they had just to get the guy. You look at Clowney. It goes past signing day. Right. Look at Lattimore. It goes to the very end. Jordan Birch, they had to land him on 2 signing days. He committed, but then he didn't sign. So it's always just been a battle. And so to have guys committed early at this point, at this frame of the process, I think is a step in the right direction, because you are now seeing them have the opportunity to sort of build that hype. Cam Pringle recruiting for them, Dante Reno recruiting for them. And, we'll see from what I've heard. So Chris has talked to Gregory more than I have. I don't know if I've ever even interviewed the kid. I don't know yet if he will be one of the guys that jumps in and starts recruiting as well. But I do know from what Chris has said is he does have a good personality. He's been very accessible as far as interviews. That normally carries over into, recruiting other guys. And it doesn't always have to be to the level that Dante and Cam are doing. Sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, if I'm on campus and this other guy's on campus, do I have the personality to try and sort of build that relationship and build that connection?
Jumping back to the 2023 class now, you mentioned things kind of going all the way down to the wire. The situation with Javion Hardy, who is committed, has not signed with South Carolina. I was talking about this with Colin Taylor earlier. There's, some stuff going on with the admissions, and obviously coming off of what happened with Jeff Code a couple weeks ago, that's obviously going to, heighten a lot of people's senses in regards to that. Well, what is the latest on Javion Hardy?
Yeah, I don't think this is a South Carolina admissions issue. There's been talk from the beginning about would he basically, enroll at South Carolina, or would he have to go the JUCO route? So I think that's sort of still up in the air, I guess. we'll see. Certainly, so even if he has to go JUCO, South Carolina would love to have him after that. They've had some great luck getting guys out of JUCO ranks, and I think they are very high on him as a player as well. So it's just a matter of, would he go ahead and be able to enroll at South Carolina, or would he have to go JUCO first?
And it's very important to, keep those relationships, because again, if unfortunately he does have to go the JUCO route, then saying, hey, when the time comes, a year, 2 years, whatever it is, it takes you to be able to get in here. We're ready for you. We got a spot for you, and we'll plug you right in.
And for the most part, those JUCOs will protect a school as much as they can. In terms of, it's kind of a handshake relationship. Like, hey, we're gonna if we're gonna place this guy at your school, then that JUCO will know, okay, it is imperative that I do everything I can to keep other schools from trying to come in and poach this guy away.
Right.
If that school still wants him, because if I'm that JUCO, I want for the Power 5 school to place the next guy they have as well. So if you send a kid to JUCO and then he ends up going to another school, that maybe comes back on that JUCO school a little bit. So there's some incentive there for a JUCO to sort of help you keep a guy committed, even if it means they have to. A lot of times it's like a year and a half. It's 2 seasons, but then you'll aim for that December enrollment so that they can go through spring practice. Carolina obviously has a guy right now in Elijah Davis who, is coming in or is in already with this current class that went to East Mississippi. And he wasn't really necessarily a direct South Carolina placement, but was a situation where Carolina, and this was originally the previous staff, but he was from here. They were already recruiting him. He had already been on campus a bunch of times during his high school process. And so you build that framework. You kind of build the foundation there of recruiting him. So getting him back home is a much easier process.
Finally, on to Nicholas Harbor. Colin Taylor said it's going to be a very interesting 72 hours to see how this plays out. Of course, Carolina, Oregon, Michigan, and Maryland are on his list of potentials. A lot of people say he's favored to South Carolina, but there could always be that late second switch. Where does it stand right now to you for Nicholas Harbor?
Yeah, this is a weird one. So I'll tell y'all, most of the time with the recruiting process, when it's winding down, there may be a public top 4, a public top 5. I would say the 5 right now would be those plus Miami, even though I don't think he's by any means he's going to go to Miami. Miami itself maybe thinks they're actually in this thing. I don't buy it, but point being, you have your top 4 or 5. That's your public group. For the most part, most of the time, internally, there's maybe a 2, sometimes a 3. And 2 or 3 schools is what I mean. So the other schools most of the time already know, hey, I'm not getting this guy. And those final 2 or 3 schools are fighting it out. Well, in this case, this is a rare situation where I really would not be surprised at all if it was any of the 4. Again, the 4 being South Carolina, Oregon, Maryland, Michigan. And I could make a case, and it would be, I would say, fairly well sourced, like not just speculating. I could make a case of any of the 4 why it would be them.
Right. And
I can make a case, any of the 4, of why I don't think it would be them. So it's gonna. I'm hoping. So it's 11:46 on Monday. Announcement comes at 1:00 on Wednesday afternoon.
Right.
I'm hopeful we will know more in the next 24 hours on which way this is headed, to where we'll at least have an idea. Hey, here's the 2 finalists. However, right now, from what I've heard, Harbor has started to really shut things down as far as trying to keep information from getting out. So it's going to be an interesting couple of days in terms of all those schools feeling like they're in it. And we'll see if any information whatsoever leaks out from Harbor's camp. And we'll see if Harbor keeps communicating behind the scenes with all 4 schools. Michigan has been strongest, longest, but it certainly feels like Michigan has faded.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see. And I believe we got one more break, Tyler.
Yes, about to hit the last break here.
Let's hit that, and then let's unpack that a little bit on the other side.
All right, we'll run into the last break, but before we do, going to give you one more chance to win a pair of tickets. This one going to be for the women's basketball team taking on Kentucky this Thursday. That is February the 7th. Tip-off at 7 o'clock at Colonial Life Arena. A quick note, I made the mistake earlier. The men's game tomorrow tips off at 6:30, not 7 o'clock. And, of course, you can listen to that right here on 107.5 The Game. But be caller number 5 right here at 803-404-6100 to win tickets to the women's game Thursday night against Kentucky. You're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, 107.5 The Game.
Got something to say?
Ring us up on the Love Chevy phone line. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer.
At 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
At Kroger, no matter where you order free pickup, you get the same great deals as you'd get in store. So you can save when you order during band practice, or at the dog park, or wherever. Start your cart with the Kroger app and save from wherever today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. $35 order minimum. Restrictions may apply. Subject to availability.
Save more on natural and organic items. Just clip your digital coupons on our app and use them up to 5 times in one transaction with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring sergeants and lieutenants statewide. If you have correctional, security, military, or police experience, you can join SCDC as a sergeant or lieutenant. There's $7,500 sign-on bonuses, increased pay, and great employee benefits available. Start your new year off with a new career. Visit joinscdc.com to apply today or call 803-734-JOBS for more information.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-767-6464. 800-767-6464. That's 800-767-6464.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code READY for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code READY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code READY for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet. The lot is packed with inventory and more is on the way. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Founded by firemen with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell, along with you for just a few more minutes here. Jay and Terry coming up on the other side of 12 o'clock with the halftime show. And Wes, you had something that you were saving for the other side of the break.
Yeah, I guess. I just think there's a lot to unpack with all 4 schools, man, and it's just very strange that it happens like this because usually it's down to 2 or 3. And so I can kind of make your case. So a lot of people have been assuming, and maybe this is right. A lot of people have been assuming that Oregon is making this big push for Nick Harbor. Also, it felt like people were anticipating that before the visit even took place. And so I think on one hand, Tyler, you have Oregon and people are saying the Nike connection,
right?
The fact that Harbor is going to be a larger than life brand wherever he goes, that they can present these great Nike NIL branding opportunities for him.
Sure.
All true. Great program in the Pac-12, great stadium, great atmosphere. Dan Lanning seems to have things going in the right direction there. So all these things make sense on paper. However, they have not been recruiting him as hard or as long and don't have the relationships he has with Michigan, South Carolina, or Maryland. You can talk about Michigan. They've made the college football playoff, twice recently. They, I would say, have actually been longest in terms of his entire recruitment. And at one point, if you made me guess, I probably would have said Michigan is the most likely factor. His parents really like Michigan. However, it feels like they have faded a little bit. The reports from the Michigan side say they don't feel like they can present as many NIL opportunities as other schools. And it certainly feels like the Harbaugh to the NFL thing, which was a big thing, then it died.
Right.
Now, there's still a few little whispers out there about it still, but it certainly feels like that hurt their chances. Maryland. Part of you says, would he really go to Maryland? But then you look at the job Maryland has done recruiting other guys in that DMV area. You look at that staff and the fact that they have had luck with big-time prospects. It's a long-standing relationship there as well. Then you look at South Carolina and you say, South Carolina doesn't quite have the on-field success as maybe an Oregon or a Michigan.
Right.
But the long-standing relationship with Shane Beamer, long-standing relationship with Sterling Lucas, the job Jody Wright has done recruiting him to play tight end, to play on offense. The fact that he has really been highly interested in South Carolina for over a year now. That there's a real chance that he does pick South Carolina.
Right.
So I think it usually is just not this broad, this open, where I think all those schools, except maybe Michigan, it weirdly feels like Michigan is not as confident as they once were from what I've heard. So is it Oregon, a school that is literally on the other side of the country and that you can drive from DC to Columbia?
I was going to ask, does proximity matter? Like, and if Oregon's on the table, then that's certainly a big change there. But if, they're willing to throw millions of dollars at them for NIL, then, you can get over a long plane ride. But is that a factor in the proximity of being able to easily get to South Carolina, family coming to games, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there's some speculation in this answer as well. It seems like proximity does matter. Location does matter. However, like you said, if everything else checks out, does location sort of just get thrown as well? Nothing. There is no perfect answer.
Sure.
You're giving or taking. You got pros and cons for every school. So if you're them, do you say, wow, we loved Oregon, everything except the location? However, if you're going to every single game and you're his family, even the away games, you're talking about Pac-12 country.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can get in the car and hit the interstate and drive, even though obviously DC area is not, quote, close to Columbia.
Sure.
You can drive here in the same amount of time it would take longer to fly to Oregon with all the checks and all that stuff. So, and now you're talking about being jet lagged every single week, flying back over here. I think that matters. Now, how much does it matter? Is this truly, I'm going off to college, I'm going to have to accept that I'm not going to be as close with my family as I would have been.
Right.
I don't know. And I think that's part of the reason why, Tyler, this one's going to be so intriguing.
Yeah.
This is why so many fan bases are tuned in, because all four of them, and even Miami, has somehow let itself think they're in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you only get so many of these. This is a true national recruiting battle that South Carolina has found itself right in the middle of. I know we got to get out of here, but plenty more to get to in the next 48 hours.
I would say hopefully have some more answers by the time we're in here tomorrow, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and what happens on, signing day just 2 days away. That'll do it for today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. He's Wes Mitchell. I'm Tyler Head. Be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, 11 o'clock on 107.5 The Game. Jay and Terry coming up next with a halftime show.